Okay, well, good Wednesday night, Jet fans. It is November 6th, 2019. It's almost 11:30. It's 11:29. I know the clock behind me says 12:29. I haven't had a chance to set the clock back, um, but it is still Wednesday. We usually try to do this midweek, what I like to call bonus Jet coverage midweek. Um, Earlier in the day and trying to get out by lunchtime, but there was some things going on today, some running around and whatnot. So we're doing it late tonight. I'm also using my laptop tonight to record this video session, and I'd like some feedback on that. Usually I've been using my iPhone. I'm looking into getting better video equipment, but right now, if let me know. Is this better? Is it not as quality sound or picture and video? Let me know in your comments. Shoot me a text if you're texting me about this. I know I have some feedback from my cousins. Usually they'll shoot me a text. Um, Usually on Wednesdays we cover we talk about the rivalry or the history between the two teams that will be facing each other this week. It's actually the Jets hosting the Giants at MetLife. Both teams going nowhere fast. And we talk about the history and whatnot, the interaction between the two teams, um, and we also talk about what's going on with the state of the team. So let's start off with the Jets coming off that horrible loss to the Dolphins. A winless team. The Jets now are 1-7. Um, they are going backwards. Sam Darnold looked like he regressed. Adam Gase just does not look like he has his hand on the pulse of this team. He looks like a coach that's very confused and lost at what is going on. But I honestly thought, and I know a lot of people out there thought, that Monday morning we were going to get the news, whether Twitter, NFL Network, ESPN, and I have NFL Network on every day just to see if that news is going to be broadcasted as it happens, that Adam Gase is going to be fired. Um, it's my opinion, not my opinion, I should say, it's in my head now that regardless of what happens Sunday against the Giants, which a lot of people feel if they lose to the Giants in Miami, he's fired on Monday. I think he finishes out the season for a few reasons. First reason is at 1-8, you know, for management to make a change now, it looks like a desperation change. Too late, too little, too late. Also, if they name an interim head coach, they'll be paying for three head coaches. Todd Bowles is still getting paid by the team because when he went to Tampa, he took a coordinator's position, not a head coach's position. They'd of course be paying Adam Gase, who has a 4-year contract, and whoever is the interim coach, which I would think would be Greg Williams. So I don't think it happens until the end of the season. And I believe at that point they won't be paying Todd Bowles anymore. So it still will be two head coaches. Um, that's what I thought was going on. Sports radio all week has been incredibly critical of the team, the ownership. The only one that's not on the hot seat is Joe Douglas. He came in afterwards. He came in after the draft. He came in and basically, I don't know. He made a few minor moves. I mean, one move that he made was bringing back Ryan Khalil, who was in retirement, and that I personally thought that was going to be a great signing, having a veteran to anchor that center position for Sam, and it just did not work out. Khalil is injured, and he did not work out as I thought it would be as center. I really thought he would be a good protector of Sam and open up the holes for Le'Veon, but that just like everything else, it just failed this year. Adam Gase came out and spoke to Michael Kay. He was critical of himself. He did say that Sam is progressing. He's not regressing. He's making mistakes, but he will learn from those mistakes, and you know he could see it. Honestly, Sam has thrown 8 interceptions these last 3 games. He threw 4 against the Patriots at a fumble loss. He threw 3 against Jacksonville. He threw 1 last week, which was horrendous. That has to change with Sam. That was a concern coming out of college to a lot of his critics. And last year, he looked like he learned ball management and protection. Now he seems like he's back making those mistakes. So let's hope that changes for the better. Um, Bob Wischusen, who is the voice of the Jets, does the play-by-play of the Jets. He usually will be master of ceremonies at different Jet events, especially at the stadium when they do Ring of Honor and and ceremonies. He filled in for Stephen A. Smith today, and I didn't catch it live, but it was on YouTube. And if you can catch it, catch it. And he went on a 20-minute opening, and you know what? He was very genuine in what he spoke about. He said he was on Michael Caine, Stephen A. Smith's show back in the summer, and he said the first thing is looking at the Jet roster in the summer, they have to go without any injuries. And he compared it to the 2015 team who didn't have any injuries or maybe very, 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 very little injuries. And they went within a game of the playoffs with Fitzpatrick and Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall and Bilal Powell. Um, he also said, I'm trying to think what else. A team that has $100 million in cap space is not a good team. It's not a good position because that means you don't have your skilled players. Your talent level is low. Um, he did then went on to say that Adam Gase needs more players. He needs more talent. He needs more time. Um, he also said, and I believe him that he said this back in the summer in regards to the talent of the team and giving Adam Gase time. He's reiterating it now. He says he's not speaking this way because he's a representation of the team. He is an employee of the team. He does work for ESPN as well. Um, but all in all, I think Wischusen is a good analyst and a good football voice, and he does love these Jets. What I want to know, and I actually tweeted back at him. Um, he just kept saying, "Look at this roster, look at this roster." And I tweeted back at him and I told him, Bob, I listen to your games. When I'm listening to it on the radio, when I'm not at the game, I I try to catch him when he's on Stephen A. Smith. I try to check out his tweets. Um, I understand what he's saying, but he has to understand a few things. Number one, 51 years. We're waiting 51 years. It's going to be, um, and the way things look, it'll be more than 52 years because I don't see them making a 1 year turnaround that's needed. So I said to him two things about Adam Gase. Number one, does he think he could lead this team or lead the Jets to the Super Bowl, to the big game? And I'm not talking about the talent that's on the team now. If they gave him the talent needed, will he win the Super Bowl? Will he get to the big game? My second question was, and again, this wasn't being facetious or trying to start an argument or whatnot, or just trying to be snarky. Um, my second question was, if Adam Gase was the coach of Kansas City or the Patriots right now with the talent they have, would he take them to the big game? To me, Adam Gase looks like the game is too fast for him. Just look at the decision making that has happened since the summer. I won't even go back to the draft. I was happy with the draft of Quinnen Williams, and we got to hope that he evolves to what we think he could be. But look how long it took him to get a kicker. We still need a kicker. Look at how Avery Williams is on the field in the third quarter of a second preseason game. He's the only veteran on the field, and he gets hurt, and he's done for the season. And Adam Gase is like, I didn't realize he was on the field. Just things like that. The little flare up between Winters and Sam on Sunday's game with the safety and the errant snap. And they ask what happened, and he goes, "I don't know. At that point, I didn't realize what was going on between them." It just seems like his head is not there, and that's what scares me. Um, So what I wanted to do, because a lot of people are comparing Adam Gase to Rich Kotite. Now, Rich Kotite took over 95 and 96. He came over from the Eagles. He was once a coach on the Jets. He was the offensive coordinator of the Jets, actually, in the late 80s. And then he went to the Eagles. And the Eagles back then were Eric Allen, Randall Cunningham. I'm trying to think, who else. But his head coaching debut was with the Eagles, and he coached them from 91 to 1994. Okay, so I did a little comparison with the record. So tonight I'm going to do a little numbers. 91, his rookie year as a head coach, he went 10-6. He missed the playoffs. Okay, that's how strong the NFC East was that year. He missed the playoffs. I think it was actually a third-place team in 91. Okay, and that was the year that the Giants won the Super Bowl. 92, he goes 11-5, and he goes 1-1 in the playoffs, and he loses to Dallas in the divisional round. 93, he goes 8-8. 94, he goes 7-9. So he's 36-28 overall. The 4 years he's in Philly, and people say, "Oh, Philadelphia fans hated him." The Eagles, to me, he had a 30. He was 8-win differential, which is not huge, but it's not terrible. His first 3 years, he went 29-19. So he had a 10-game differential. The first 48 games, 29-19. So now let's look at Adam Gase. Okay. 2016, he's 10-6 with Miami. Makes the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill, 2017, he's 6-10. 2018, he's 7-9. So his first 48 games, just like Kotite was 29-19, 23-25. Okay, 2 games below a winning record or an even record. Now this year he's going 1-7. In Kotite's 4th year, he went 7-9, and he went downhill after that. He went 3-13, obviously, then 1-15, 4-28 overall with the Jets. Kotite's head coaching record was 40-56. Okay, so 16 games below 500. Right now, counting 2019, he is 24. Adam Gase is 24-32. So he's on his way to a Kotite type record. But the difference with Kotite was his first 3 years, he had 2 winning seasons and 1 season that ended up 500. Gase had 1 winning season, 1 season 4 games below. 1 winning season 6-10, and then 1 season 7-9. So he never showed any type of improvement. And now he comes here and he starts off 1-7. And yes, you could say Sam had mono, and you could say, this and that, but the offensive line is terrible. Le'Veon Bell doesn't have anything to run through. We have this all-pro runner. Susan went on to say that Joe Douglas is going to take a lot of draft capital and just go after linemen, and I hope so. Okay, so that's where we are with Adam Gase. I think he finishes the year. I don't know if he gets a second year. But if he does get a second year, then we have to give this guy an arsenal because I think he needs the perfect team. I don't think he can have any slip-ups. Back in 07, 08, when we had Brett Favre on the Jets, the Patriots lost Tom Brady week 1, and they still came up with a winning record, I believe. They didn't make the playoffs that year, I don't think, because Miami won the division, but they still had a very reputable record. So I don't know what's going to happen. Christopher Johnson's under a lot of pressure. People say I don't think they are happy. Listen, these are businessmen. These are men that know that they need to put a product on the field that's winning I just don't know what's gonna, what the decision's gonna make. Does Mr. Johnson give him another year? Does he say that's it? We're gonna stop the bleeding now. And if that's the case, Adam Gase probably goes and coaches another team and takes them to the Super Bowl in 3 years. But you know, change is needed somewhere. There is something wrong with this team. There is, something missing. I don't know if it's the culture. I don't know what it is. I do know, I was looking at some old interviews, and Braylon Edwards was being interviewed, and he spoke about when he first came to the Jets in '09, how when he walked in the building in Forum Park, he could see that they were building a culture to win. They wanted to win. It wasn't just about playing games. They wanted to win. I have to believe that the team wants to win. Ownership wants to win. Management wants to win. But they need help. They need football people in the football operations running this team. And I hope Mr. Johnson picks it. I hope Joe Douglas, can pick players that work out as well. And I hope Adam Gase is successful. I'm not rooting for Adam Gase to be fired. I'm rooting for him to be successful. But the thing is, right now at 1-7, being fired may be what makes the team successful. I don't know. So then let's look at, I talked about earlier in the week Jamal Adams and how Jamal was worried that he was trade bait and that he was insulted and he wouldn't speak to Joe Douglas and he wouldn't speak to Adam Gase. Adam Gase didn't contact him and he only spoke to Chris Johnson. And then I thought, he'll come out and have a great game Sunday. And he had a sack on Fitz, but he whiffed on some tackles. Him and Roberts, Darrell Roberts, miscommunicated, and there was a wide open receiver at the back of the end zone that caused a touchdown. So he had a very bad game after coming off a week where he spoke a lot. And then after the game, he said something like, he was given these corporate answers, these rah-rah answers, how he doesn't want to be a distraction, which is fine, but you can't say it with tongue-in-cheek. You got to believe what you're saying. Excuse me, dry throat. So, on Twitter again, the debate is, do you trade him? Do you not trade him? Do you want him traded? Do you build around him? Do you build around a safety? And when you think of building around a safety, you think of safeties. Two that come to mind is Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. Ed Reed, like I said in my video earlier this week, was at the Baltimore Ravens game. He got his Hall of Fame ring. He had the sidelines and the fans going wild. And Troy Polamalu also, I believe, is a Super Bowl champion, I think, when they beat Seattle. So I looked at their first 3 seasons as compared to Jamal Adams' first 3 seasons. Now, obviously, I should say, Jamal Adams only played 8 games this season. But all 3 players, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, and Jamal Adams, played 16 games in their first 2 seasons. Okay? Ed Reed, in his first 2 seasons, had 12 interceptions. 5 in his first year, 7 in the second year. Okay, he had 2 forced fumbles, 1 in each year. Okay, and then he had 2 sacks, 1 in each year. Solo tackles, 71 the first year, 59 the second year. Okay? Compare that to Jamal Adams. First 2 years, 1 interception, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 5.5 sacks. Okay? 63 tackles solo, 86 tackles solo. So, I mean, as far as now, I don't. Yes. All right. So, as far as interceptions, obviously, Ed Reed had more. He had 12 compared to the 1. He also had a touchdown return, where Jamal had his first touchdown return this year. Jamal had his first interception last year. So, yeah, the comparison maybe. I mean, but the tackle differential, the interceptions is what stands them apart right now. So then Troy Polamalu, his first 2 years, 16 games. First year, He had no interceptions, one forced fumble, two sacks, 30 solo tackles. Second year, five interceptions, one touchdown, one forced fumble, one sack, 67 solo tackles. So right now, the difference with these three players is the interception totals. I mean, what Palomalu had in 1 year, Adams doesn't have in two plus. Okay. Now, can he be on the way to greatness? Yes. Can he be getting these numbers? Yes. Can he exceed these numbers? Yes. But right now, when the team is in turmoil, I need him to do his speaking on the field, not in Twitter, not on Instagram, not to tongue in cheek with the reporters. That's what I'm saying as a fan. Because if that's what you're worried about, you're not going to be worried about making that tackle or wrapping up that runner or going after that ball. And 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 that's the end of it. He needs to make these plays on the field. Yes, I understand that you're upset, Jamal. A lot of us fans were upset that you're on a trading block until two things. Number one, we heard what we were asking for, and at that point, it was just two number ones. So at one point, I think we heard three number ones and a number two or number three. You know, that's a king's ransom. This team can be rebuilt with that. But if you could put up numbers like Palomalu or Ed Reed and get us to the big game, then I'll take that over any three picks. Um, so the Jets played the Dolphins, the Giants this week. Giants are 2-7, and I know a win is a win, but let's be honest. That first win with Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, Tampa Bay was down the field and they missed a chip shot field goal, or else they win that game. But props to Daniel Jones. He got them down the field late to give them the lead. And then they beat Washington the following week. This is going to be a sloppy game, but there's a history between these two teams. But I don't consider the Giants a rival. And I'll tell you why. Before interleague play in baseball, Met fans and Yankee fans would bicker. Obviously before 68 or 69, the same year the Jets won, the Miracle Mets won. But before that, the Yankee history of World Series surpassed them. Then in the 80s, after 81, the Yankees lost the World Series to the Dodgers. It was a Met town. 84, 85, Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, Howard Johnson. And then 86, like I said, they were down to the last strike, and they come back and win Game 6, and they win Game 7. It's a Mets town. That team should have won probably 2 or 3 World Series. Then 93, 94, the Yankees start coming up. Baseball strike in 94, the Yankees are in first place. And then, 95, they lose the heartbreaker to the wild card. But that point on, 95, they make the playoffs 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2000. I mean, there wasn't a time that they didn't make the playoffs, I believe, until 2008. It was again a Yankee town. Okay, even when it was a Subway Series, that was the only time where it was really, really split. Then, after the Yankees win in 09, the Mets start coming back, and the Mets make the World Series in 15, and they were in the running a lot. They were in the running in 07 and 08. Then they were in the running later on in the 2010 era. It was a Met town again. So the Giants and the Jets, so now there's interleague play, so they play each other more than every so often. And it's not a big deal anymore. It used to be, it's interleague weekend. Now the games, not as like they used to be. The Jets and Giants play each other every 4 years. Yes, they play each other in the preseason every year, and they alternate, and it used to be the Snoopy Bowl or whatever. But honestly, the rivalry was once the Jets moved into Meadowlands, and I say Meadowlands, but it was Giant Stadium, that's when the big brother, little brother syndrome came in. They moved in there, I believe it was 84, 86, the Giants won the Super Bowl. Okay? 91 or 90, the Giants won the Super Bowl. 2000, the Giants go to the Super Bowl. 2007, the Giants win the Super Bowl. 2011, Giants win the Super Bowl. And in 11, we're in MetLife. Excuse me, hiccups now. Um, I don't never consider the Giants a rival. The fans use that as a rivalry. To me, the rival right now is the Patriots. When I first started watching the team, the rival was the Miami Dolphins. Um, After that, it went to the Bills when the Bills went on that tear in the early '90s, and then it swung back. Indianapolis wasn't a rival, but with Peyton Manning, it made it more interesting because Indianapolis was just as bad as the Jets some years, and then it swung back to the Patriots after Parcells and whatnot. So to say the Giants are a rival now, they are crosstown team that's won more. Are they Mets and Yankees? Yes, I consider the Giants the Yankees. Now, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm a Jet fan. The Giants and the Yankees, they have a rich history. They have more championships. Their decision making is a little better. But the Mets also won a few championships. The Jets have not won, and that's what hangs over their head. They still share a stadium now where both owners went into partnership with the stadium, which is fine with me. I could care less where they play as long as I can go see them. If they can play in a parking lot, I go pull up a lawn chair and watch them in a parking lot play. I remember I've been to a few Jet Giant games. The one that always stands out is 2011. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm the only one going to the game. My kids are still young at that point. My father doesn't want to go. I got to go to my in-laws afterwards for dinner. So I meet up with my friends and we tailgate, and they're Giant fans there and they're Jet fans there, and we get in, and the Jets still have a chance to make the playoffs. The Giants are hanging by a thread to make the playoffs, and it's I don't know what down it is, but it's the end zone we're sitting in. Eli is going the other way, and we had just forced Eli to a sack, or he threw the ball away. The fans are going crazy, and they get him under pressure, and he just dumps it off to Victor Cruz. And Victor Cruz didn't just run for a touchdown; he ran all the way to the Super Bowl. And that game, Sanchez fumbled all over the place, and I forgot the running back for the Giants was arguing with Rex, and it was just a whole big, smack in the face to Jet fans who really thought they had taken the next step, because the year before we were in the AFC Championship game. And here we are losing to a team that we should have beat and keep our playoff hopes alive. And prior to that game, Rex being Rex, and this is what I loved about Rex, he took pride. He loved being a Jet. His dad was a Jet. He was on the Super Bowl team on the coaching staff. It was, Rex wore the green and white with pride. And he wanted a home field advantage. He wanted Jet life, not Met life. He made sure the Giants didn't park in the players' parking lot. They had to park in the visiting players' parking lot. He had their trophies covered so they weren't viewed, and basically made it like a regular Jet home game, which it should have been, but he made it known, and it was taunting the Giants, and they had the answer for us. My first Jet Giant game was back in '96. I'm sorry, '95 when the Jets went 3-12. That was a game they lost to a very inferior Giant team in the rain. I think it was like a 7-6 loss or a 10-6 loss. It was terrible. So it goes back and forth. A few years ago in 15, we beat the Giants. We were down by a few scores. We beat them in overtime coming back. Odell Beckham actually had a meltdown in that game. So, yes, there is good banter that goes back and forth. I have Giant fans texting me. I have, I'm going back at them. But really, whoever wins this week, who can really hold their head up with pride? I mean, if the Jets go in and beat the Giants 10-7, I'll take the win. But I just, what did it accomplish? If they go in there and beat them 35-6, yeah, okay, listen, we went in there, we knocked them around. But a 10-7, 6-3, 13-10 win, also, as it goes into the win column, is nothing special. I do look for Sam to have a bounce back game, hopefully with Crowder. not Crowder, yeah, with Jameson and Robbie. Robbie was pretty quiet in the Dolphin game. Le'Veon Bell had an MRI on his knee yesterday. There's no structural damage. He did not practice on Wednesday this afternoon. He's up in the air for Sunday. I think he plays, unless they're saying something that's not, that they don't want us to know. And I'll do my predictions on Friday, which in 1 minute it'll be tomorrow. It'll be Thursday in a minute. So that's just our bonus Jet coverage. A little bit on Adam Gase, a little bit on Jamal Adams. It's been a rough season. We just want to get through the season, and I want to see changes. Now, listen, if they don't change the coach, I'll live with it, just like I live with other decisions that the team made. I just hope it's the right decision that they made to keep the coach. If they change the coach, I'll live with the decision that they made to change the coach, but I hope that they make the right decision on bringing in a coach. Some may say Joe Douglas needs to hire his coach in order for this team to run the right way. I don't know. But anyway, check us out, www.nyjetstories.com. That's www.nyjetstories.com. We're on Facebook at NYJetStories. Facebook page. We're on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at NYJetStories. And of course, we're here on this YouTube channel, Alex Pazziali, NYJetStories. Check us out. Give us comments. Also, tell me about what you thought about the quality of this video as far as sound and the clarity of the video. If it's better than my phone, or should I go back to the phone? Have a great night. And it's 12 a.m. It's Thursday. So tomorrow, I will be doing our preview of the week, the NFL preview of all the games, some of the marquee matchups, and of course, Jets Giants. Also, shout out, when in this town where the Yankees are out of the playoffs and the Mets just hired Carlos Beltran and whatnot, the Rangers won a game tonight. They're rebuilding. Second-year coach Dan Quinn, I believe his name is, or Brian Quinn. Hopefully we can get that thing rolling. The Nets are doing pretty well in Brooklyn. They have an establishment there going. They have their foundation. But I have to give props, and I hate to do this, to the Islanders. They've won 10 in a row. They are back with a vengeance. And, I can't take anything away from them. I can't wait till the Rangers play them. But they have won 10 in a row. They're on fire. They're scoring goals, and it's a team effort. And what I see from that is, from general manager to coach to the team producing on the ice, is just a great product. So props to them. I know my cousin Richie is a huge Islander fan, and if you're Islander fans out there watching this, enjoy it. I know it usually goes Mets, Jets, Islanders. I'm actually Jets, Yankees, Rangers. But props to the Islanders, and at least they have some New York teams winning. So I'll catch you guys later. I'll see you in a couple of hours, or in a day or so, and we'll do our preview.